Well, that was really sort of my question, Fred,
Yeah.
which is whatever. But we've got, if you have a phone call out there, number to call is area code 866-980-0499 from any place in North America. Any place in North America. It's a toll-free call for you, and we'd love to talk to you about your money and how to keep it. It's your money. But let's get back to...
We're also going to be talking about estate taxes. We're talking about probate fees. We'll be talking about executor fees.
Yep.
We'll be talking about taxes on your final tax return. You know that when you die, you're deemed to have sold everything you own at fair market value.
Yep.
And if you have capital gains, then there's taxes that have to be paid. You know, that final tax return can be a very, very expensive
it can be a bugbear
situation, okay? So we'll be talking about that. That's part of capital creation. Capital creation is what you do after you've looked after your retirement, after you've looked after your pension plan and your RRSP. What's the next step? Well, that's capital creation. How do you get some money outside of your RRSP? How do you get income which is treated favorably from a tax point of view? An RRSP, you save tax on the accumulation side,
but then you go...
but you pay tax on the deaccumulation side. You get some money outside, you don't save a great deal of tax going in, but coming out of that, you save a bundle of tax and a lot more. And you know that we've done the numbers. I sat down and crunched the numbers and compared a leverage situation where you, instead of paying $10,000 a year into an RRSP, you borrowed enough money that the interest expense was $10,000 a year, and the numbers favor...
invest in the same product.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
If you go to the end of the day, the non-RRSP, I call it a URSP, Unregistered Retirement Savings Plan. The numbers in the Unregistered Retirement Savings Plan are better than they are in the case of the RRSP.
And we did that, not even counting things like clawbacks of old age pension.
That's exactly right.
And not counting the clawback of guaranteed income supplement.
You got it.
Because that's the unfortunate part about an RRSP. When you're making lots of money, it affects your clawback of your old age pension. And when you don't have a lot of money, just so you got $30,000 and you're taking out $3,000 or $4,000 a year, it results in clawback of your guaranteed income supplement.
And that's $6,000. That's up to $6,000 a year.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation.
$500 a month.
Yeah, so it's a little scary out there. And what
so
you get
between your
in.
guaranteed income supplement and your old age pension, you're talking $1,000 a month that could be clawed back.
Yeah, it's just too much.
Some of it anyway. So if your income exceeds about $64,000, you're into the clawback zone.
Now let's talk about something, and Richard, let's sort of make this a mark. And Richard, Fred, you hear Fred and I referring to, is Richard Pitt. And I don't know, sometimes he sticks his head in front of the camera, but Richard still is, with his partner Stuart Lynn at the time. Richard Pitt was the first person in Canada to provide commercial internet services for people.
Numero uno.
Numero uno. Well, numero uno and a half, because I think Stuart likely gets real credit for starting that whole thing. But if you hadn't been there, if you hadn't been there, it wouldn't have happened, and it's that simple. Yeah. And he still does super duper stuff right now for David Hancock.
He's doing my website right now. I'm having it all re-engineered.
Super duper thing. And Richard's taking his mutual fund and life insurance course too, which is really interesting.
And I noticed you used the plural. Securities course.
Yeah.
Let's call it securities. I think it's a better word, bigger word, broader word. Securities and insurance.
That's right.
Securities and life insurance. It goes beyond life insurance. Insurance products are much broader today than just ordinary life insurance.
Well,
you buy these mutual funds, these guaranteed mutual funds from insurance companies. They're called seg funds. They're not really life insurance, at least a lot of them aren't, but they are guaranteed.
And they're sold by a life insurance company, and they got a life insurance rider or a packet or
and in order to offer it, you have to be licensed to be able to handle life insurance. And we talked at great length about these brokers that are out there that are not duly licensed, and they may have a portfolio that's worth $500,000, maybe even $1 million, and they come in for advice, and they really need a seg fund. They're having a great deal of difficulty sleeping because they're worried about their portfolio, which has been evaporating, and they decide to put it in one of these seg funds because it's guaranteed. They go to the broker to move the money, and the broker tells them they're nuts. There's nothing that's guaranteed.
Yep.
Okay? And they start bad-mouthing this product, and they haven't got a clue how the product works because they're not duly licensed.
Well, they're not licensed, and they can't sell it in the first place.
That's
so they're watching it walk out the door. And
that's what happens.
This is the sad part about it, is that if you're only dealing with a broker, if you're only dealing with a mutual fund man, as I said, I had a fellow that I really respected, and I sent him easily more than 100 people at one time. And when I found out after a whole batch of people that not one single person had been recommended a life insurance policy or a life insurance fund, it's impossible. In my humble opinion, 2 out of 5 people at least should really absolutely have some sort of life insurance policy, if not 5 out of 5. But, you know, people like myself, I'm not insurable anymore, so I can't do that.
But having established the need for life insurance, then you need to deal with somebody who is independent.
That's correct.
Key word, independent, because an independent insurance broker can deal with every company that's out there and get a quote from everyone and get you the best premium.
Well, I know you don't like dealing sometimes or talking about specific products, but we've got to talk about something. There's these... I heard an ad one time or saw something about Manulife's Income Plus and thought it was significant enough that I phoned and asked you about it. I said, oh, yeah, you've got that. You've been dealing with that for a couple of months at that point.
Yeah.
I thought I'd discovered something brand new.
Been out for about 3 years.
And now we've got Helios from Desjardins and Sun Life. There's a whole bunch of them got them.
Everybody's launching.
And you can, as a licensed agent and independent, you can sell somebody any one of those plans. Offer it to them. Okay.
Yeah.
So, whereas somebody who might be a captive agent for one of the life insurance companies is more likely to only sell that company's.
They'll push their own products.
Yeah.
If you go to the Royal Bank generally to buy a mutual fund, you go in and talk to your friendly RBC manager, you're going to get an RBC fund. He's not going to send you up to RBC Securities or Dominion Securities.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, TD Bank had 2 of the best funds that were going in the country.
That's correct.
And it would be unlikely that Royal Bank or Bank of Montreal or Wood Gundy would be sending you to buy a TD one, even if it was number 1.
Got it, David. Bang on.
Whereas your research showed that that was the one, and even though, in general, I think both of us argue against dealing with banks for your money, which is sort of heresy sometimes, other than that they got free parking in the corner.
Look,
in that case, TD was the one to buy.
If I need a short-term bond fund, a long-term bond fund, a real estate fund, a mortgage fund, a value Canadian equity fund, a growth Canadian equity fund, a value U.S. fund, a value or a growth U.S. fund, a value European fund, and a growth European fund, let's cut it off right there. Let's say that I need about 10 funds or whatever they add up to at that. That's the way I want to design this portfolio. Each piece of the pie will be allocated different percentages. And if I want, for example, if I want the best fund that's out there in each of those categories, I will never find the best fund in each one of those categories with a single company. It's impossible.
Can't do it.
Okay? And I can tell you, generally speaking, RBC's Precious Metals Fund has been the best one out there. Okay? Phillips Hager and North were great with their Canadian Equity Fund and their bond fund for years. They've been recently bought out by RBC. But again, to find the best products, you will never, or very, very rarely, if ever, find the best product within one company. You're probably going to have to deal with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different companies to get the best product. And that's why you have to be independent. The key word is you have to be a CFP or an RFP, you have to be duly licensed, and you have to be independent.
Now, yes, I just love hearing this, Fred, because I've been yakking about this dual license for 30 years. And
you know,